Today we're going to get into some Perrion Winfrey news, some Yannick Ngakoue rumors. We're going to talk about what the expectations should be for the Browns this season. Then we're going to wrap things up with going through some division winners throughout the league, our predictions. We also got a voicemail from Kenny Mack to get to, so that's always a good time.
Welcome to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast presented by Omaha Steaks. Hurry and get your orders in now for Father's Day by using promo code DAWGS. You gotta go quick. Just a couple more days till Father's Day. They got a great special going on right now. If you use promo code DAWGS, search it in the search bar, DAWGS. Get your dad something awesome for Father's Day. That's at omahasteaks.com. If you want to get your intros on the show, head to thedawgspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. Today we're going to get into some Perrion Winfrey news, some Yannick Ngakoue rumors. We're going to talk about what the expectations should be for the Browns this season. Then we're going to wrap things up with going through some division winners throughout the league, our predictions. We also got a voicemail from Kenny Mack to get to, so that's always a good time. Before we jump into it, though, I want to remind you to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. If you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dogpack member on our Patreon page. You get an extra episode every week. You get access to the private Discord. Fantasy football is right around the corner. We're going to have redraft leagues. We got a dynasty league set up for some people who have been in there already. It's a good time for everybody. The dynasty draft's been going on for weeks now. They got 8 hours to make a pick. So in this
30 rounds, baby.
Yeah, this dynasty league there's a guy from Scotland who's doing work in Saudi Arabia right now, a Browns fan doing this dynasty league in here. So if you want to do a league with Browns fans that literally span the globe, the Dogpack's where to do it. It's a good time. Everybody gets along. It's just super fun. So jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dogpack member. So it's good to all four of us, by the way.
Yo,
back. It feels good. I feel like it's been a minute since we've had all four of us here, and I know we're not in the studio. It's tough to get everybody in the studio on the same day. We're also kind of transitioning to a new studio, so it's a busy time for the Dawgs Podcast right now. But I'm pumped to be able to get all four of us on an episode and just get the juices flowing.
I will say renovations are underway, not full steam ahead just yet, but things are moving, and that new studio is going to be ready. I'm hoping here in the next month or two. That'd be awesome, because I'm excited to get in there.
We should do like some behind the scenes things, like what goes into building a podcast studio. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That's as easy as taking pictures with my phone. I can totally do that.
All right, get to work. No,
I will.
So that's some of the cool stuff going on for us, but let's jump into some Browns news. The first thing, Perrion Winfrey, his case has been dismissed. I believe if he went through like a counseling program or something like that. I don't know if you guys know the exact term of what it was called, but he went through that program, then his case was dismissed, so that's good. Hopefully he can get his act together. Because I think with the talent we're putting around him and with Jim Schwartz, I think he could play a role on this team, on this defensive line, if he can just keep his head on straight.
I agree, man. I think what we saw out of Winfrey the second half of last season, we've talked about it a lot this offseason, is he popped off the tape. You watch games on Sunday, you're like, man, Perrion Winfrey's starting to look pretty good. And then the hype kind of builds over the offseason here. We get all this hope build up, and then illegal stuff, takes place. And it's like, kid, just please keep your head on straight. We need you.
Yeah,
I agree. I think, and he's got a great shot at starting on this team. I mean, who's starting next to Tomlinson? Honestly, like, is it Jordan Elliott? I don't know.
It's gonna be Ika.
You think so? Okay. But here's the thing. There's opportunity to get on the field.
I I think it's Ika, and if it's not him, it's going to be what's his name, Hurst.
Okay.
And then it'll be Ika a month into the season. And am I saying his name right? It's been a while since
Yeah, it's Ika. I don't know. The thing with me, and I've said this before, just about the defensive tackle position being such a big step up from college to the pro. So that's why I would feel like Ika would probably take a month or so, or maybe, partway through the season, like Winfrey last year. First part of the season, we didn't really see him pop, and then he started to adjust and pick it up. So maybe Ika's a quick learner. I mean, it's not the same for everybody. Obviously, he could easily start the season as the starter, but I would be more looking at Hurst.
D tackle's not mental. You play a 0, a 1, a 3, and you get hands on your guy, you read the block, and then you make a play. Like, mentally, he shouldn't have an issue playing D tackle. If anything, it's going to be physical, and the dude's a mountain of a man. I see him playing a lot early and often.
Yeah, since he's more of the run stopper, maybe you're right about the physical thing translating a little quicker than like the finesse pass rushing type of interior lineman.
Edge rusher. He's not, you know what I mean? Like he's a run stopping defensive tackle that has some pass rushing ability, a little bit maybe underrated pass rushing ability. But I see him playing a lot early and often. I see Perrion kind of being almost, I don't want to call him a specialist, but I see him being used situationally, 3rd and longs, passing downs, because he's definitely more of a pass rushing D tackle than a run stopping D tackle. And I think it's okay to use him in that role too, because of where we got him in the draft. We didn't draft him to be an every down player based on draft position. We got him in the 5th. So if he becomes a quote unquote specialist, he's a 5th round pick. Great. You got a guy who can contribute to your team in the 5th round. Good job, Andrew Barrett.
Yep.
So thoughts, John, anything?
No, I agree with what Justin said. I mean, he's definitely got a shot at playing. I mean, we're going to rotate him in. So just quit being stupid and stay on the team. Don't ruin your future,
Before we move on, everybody on the Dawgs podcast and in Dawgs Podcast Nation should congratulate Jonathan. He just graduated college.
Oh, congratulations, buddy.
Good job, John. We're all very proud of you. I told him, I told him, I make fun of him when he deserves it. But I give him his flowers when he deserves it.
The reality is, though, you make fun of your friends when they don't deserve it as well.
Yeah, that's what makes him such a good friend.
It's a pretty consistent thing for you.
But no. So congratulations, John. Everybody jump in the comments and say congrats to John. So then that takes us to a guy who seems to have been linked to the Browns for the better part of a year or year and a half now. Yannick Ngakoue, Browns rumored to be interested in him. Are you guys surprised that we're interested in another edge rusher?
Not really.
Not an interior guy?
Honestly, it didn't shock me because that's one position that I don't feel you can ever have enough top-end talent at, especially when you're trying to, I don't know, we've been trying to find that guy opposite Miles, and we got Zadarius Smith, and that's awesome, but you don't want Miles and Smith playing every single down out there. You need the depth, especially, God forbid, injuries happen or they just need a breather, take some, a series or two off. I mean, Obo is excellent. We've got the rookie McGuire, but man, if you could bring in a guy like Ngakoue, I mean, this guy's a sack machine.
Could you imagine the flexibility Jim Schwartz would have up front if you sign a Yannick Ngakoue?
Man.
And then you could run a D line sometimes of Myles Garrett, Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith could play on the inside, and you could have Yannick Ngakoue. I mean, that's getting after the pass rusher or the passer. Like that's 4 dogs up front. It would give Schwartz so much flexibility. It would almost be an embarrassment of riches. We'd go from like one of the worst defensive lines an NFL team's ever had to, I mean, on paper, everything's on paper right now. I can't, they haven't done anything yet, but on paper, that's got to be one of the best defensive lines in football if we were to sign him.
I don't know about you guys. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, as far as the interior goes, the only 2 guys I've really got eyes for right now would be Matthew Ioannidis and Shelby Harris. And if they can get Ngakoue, like you said, then the versatility on the defensive line, you offset what you maybe don't have solidified at that second defensive tackle position, but we still have great players to rotate there, with Ika and Hurst and Hill and Elliott. Like, we'll be okay, and Winfrey will be okay. If we get a guy like Ngakoue to go with those other edge rushers, man, it's going to be nasty.
Yeah, I saw his last contract was for $13 million a year, and that was a fully guaranteed contract. Do you see the Browns doing something similar to that or not?
I don't think they're going to spend it all, honestly. I think we've been like that Za'Darius that kind of caught us off guard a little bit. I don't really see, especially for guys that have been sitting here this long now, all of a sudden we're going to just jump in out of nowhere. I'd love it. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great. And he played for Indianapolis last year and was a stud. Pretty sure he led the team with sacks. I think 9.5, something like that.
9.5, and he led the Raiders the year before with 10.
Yep. So
9.5 in 15 games.
Yep. I like him. I think that we might be at a point where we kind of just settle down. We just settle in, take what money is left over. I know we say the cap doesn't really matter and all that, but our cap hit's going to be terrible next year. There's going to be guys that are going to get cut regardless, but I don't know. I think we just roll it over. Just roll the cap.
I think the Browns make one more move. They didn't rework these contracts, in my opinion. They didn't rework them for nothing. Where we reworked Harrison Bryant and who was the other guy?
Jordan Elliott.
And Jordan Elliott. I think they're freeing up a little bit. I don't think they're going to go crazy. This is why, last episode, I said I don't think we're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. I still don't think we're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. And I could see us. I mean, the longer Ngakoue sits, the cheaper he becomes, and you got to think he would be enticed to play for a guy like Jim Schwartz and to play opposite Myles Garrett. Like, that's a good situation for him. So I could see it happen. I just think the Browns have one more move in them. And again, I don't necessarily think it's because like you said, I don't think we're going to break the bank, but I think there's just one more roster solidifying move up Andrew Berry's sleeve. So we'll see what it is. At least that's what I'm thinking. What about you, John? Were you surprised we were going to go edge, or were you thinking interior? Were you not thinking?
Probably that one. Man, Josh said it best though. I'm not surprised that they're going after, or reportedly interested in, great talent in general, regardless of the position, because you really can't be too deep, honestly. With Ngakoue too, I'd be real pumped if we got him, but for me, it's the money right now. I don't know if we're spending the money.
I also think if the reports are true and we're really interested in him and we're interested in another edge rusher, to me, Andrew Berry thinks the Browns are going to be playing with a lead a lot. And, second half, fourth quarters, other teams are going to be forced to pass to try to get back into a game because we're going to be playing with a lead, and you need as many pass rushers as you can to get after the quarterback late. I mean, you'd have 4 guys that you could have on some kind of rotation that come fourth quarter should be very fresh between Myles, Smith, Obo, and Ngakoue. I mean, you imagine putting a fresh Myles out there in the fourth instead of a guy who's been sucking wind since early third quarter.
We talked last week about Brown Tigers question with the secondary and the way we think they're going to play. If we're playing with a lead and teams are forced to throw, our defense is just going to have a field day. It's going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, because our secondary's no chip.
No, really not at all.
It's hard not to get excited, and I'm trying so hard not to get excited because we've been good on paper so many times. But man, I feel like maybe we had Browns colored glasses on the last couple of years because there were definitely some holes in the team, like last year in tier D line and wide receiver year before, that kind of thing. But man, it's very hard to go through this roster and pick out the holes. Where's the major need for the Browns right now? It's hard to find it.
And if you're win now, if you're all in, which I think we are win now, or win now mode at least, why not? I mean, why not? Because if you're in a small window, like especially just with contracts and stuff, this is it. Like, so if there's a guy out there that you can get for a decent contract, pull the trigger. You absolutely have to put everything into it. This is it.
No, I completely agree. Let's go for broke, which we're going to talk about, what's considered a good season for the Browns this year later. So we'll save that for that. But no, I agree. The Browns are clearly in win now mode. That's the mindset. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I feel like he's been linked to the Browns multiple times over the last year or so, and it's never happened. But maybe this will be the time that they get the deal done.
We were in trade talks with the Jaguars a few years back whenever he was still with them.
Yep.
Before he got moved to
Baltimore.
Minnesota first.
And then Baltimore. My fault. Yep.
So he's kind of bounced around. And one thing that he did say he's ready for a multi-year deal and some stability with his team, which is hard to say, but it is the Browns. I mean, we got Jim Schwartz. This team has been, maybe the record hasn't reflected the last couple of years the way we wanted to, but it has been stable as far as the players, the coaching, and everything like that. So you got Jim Schwartz. I could see the Browns bringing him on like a team-friendly 2-year deal or something, just to kind of make sure we have that edge rusher next year, because I don't know if Smith will be around or not.
Yeah, he might be a 1-year rental. Mm-hmm. We talked about, I don't like that term, but it just depends. It depends on what else the Browns have, too.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Browns fans, before we move on to the next part of the podcast, we have an offer now from Caesars Sportsbook that you won't want to miss. New customers can get their first bet on Caesars up to $1,250. All you have to do, use our promo code DAWGSFULL, all one word, DAWGSFULL, when you sign up. If you sign up using our code DAWGSFULL, you will not only have your first bet insured, but you will also be directly supporting this podcast. So if you haven't signed up for Caesars Sportsbook, join now with our code DAWGSFULL and drop your first bet today. This offer is only available for new customers who are 21 years and older and physically present in Ohio. Please gamble responsibly. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. See podcast description for full terms. All right, now we've got a podcast. Yeah, right. We've got a voicemail. We do. We're actually doing it at the moment. We've got a voicemail from Kenny Mack.
Yo, Dog Pack, it's Kenny Mack, and I am catching up on all the Dogs podcast social. First thing about us not making the playoffs, I mean, our roster is fantastic. However, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. So beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, beat Baltimore in Baltimore, and rough up those 49ers, and we'll have a good shot. Next is, when is bringing in too many veterans going to offset the development of any young guys that we're bringing in? Because at this point, a lot of people are saying, well, who do we sign if we don't get DeAndre Hopkins? Well, our roster's complete, and we need to see some development out of these young guys, because if we bring more people in, we're saying our drafts a bust, or our previous drafts are a bust. So give me your thoughts, fellas.
So I don't think that it makes draft picks a bust. As far as just addressing that, you're bringing in veteran leadership to culture those guys, to get them situationally ready for the NFL. For a kid that's 22, 23 years old, that's coming into the league, has more money than he's ever had in his life, and you're expecting to just drop him in day one. That's why you bring these guys in. They literally, it's just a culture thing. And they develop underneath these leaders, you know what I mean? Veteran guys. So I don't think it does. And if anything, you're just positioning them to be successful in 2 years if they're not ready straight out of college.
No, I agree with that in terms of the Browns were awful in one-score games last year. And part of that is I feel like the Browns have been one of the youngest teams in football for the last 10 years. Like, we're always super young, and losing all those one-score games, it's these young guys just not knowing how to close the deal, at the end of games. I mean, the Jets game, that kind of stuff. So you bring in this veteran leadership to kind of, like you said, build a culture of winning, teaching these guys what it takes to be a pro. You have to play 60 full minutes. If you play 58 and a half minutes, and then you'll lose the game. We learned that the hard way last year. It takes 60 minutes to win a game in the pros. And I mean, the Browns used to be notorious for this. They come into a game with one win and beat the Patriots, or they come in and beat the Saints, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year, or at least sometime in that time frame. Like, anybody can. It's one of the most. There's so much parity in the NFL. It's the league that I would say probably has the most because of the salary cap. In the NBA, they got the luxury tax. In baseball, you can buy championships. In football, with the hard cap, it creates parity, and it's why it's the most popular league. And it's why teams like the Browns, no matter how many bad years we have in a row, we come in and think this is the year we can be good, because it's an actual reset every year. Because so much change, so much roster turnover. So you need these veteran guys to come in and teach these young guys what it takes to be a pro, how to prepare, how to practice, the extra stuff you have to do, like watching film, coming in for treatment, taking care of your body. That's why you bring in veterans. So I don't think you'd say any of Andrew Berry's drafts are bust. Has he hit on every pick? No, but show me the GM who has.
Right. Yep. And that's a lot of the feedback that I've seen on, especially Twitter, in regards to the Yannick Ngakoue situation, is people are saying we need to quit bringing in these veterans and start letting our young guys develop. And my pushback has constantly been, this is not a developmental year. This is a win now year. We are trying. I mean, look what the moves they've made. The Browns front office. This team is trying to win right now. This is not a time to say, well, let's make sure we get all our young guys in there and get them some experience. If we drop a game here or there, there's not always next year. There's this year. We got to quit thinking past this one before it even starts. That's where I'm at on that.
Browns fans, it's hard to change their mindset, though. Our whole lives, it's been get these young guys in, develop them. They're going to be good 3 years from now. We're not worried about 3 years from now. We're worried about this year finally. And, it's just tough to break that mindset.
And let me ask, did anybody else here see anything out of Alex Wright that says, or last year that says, well, we let him develop a little bit this year, we can still win this year with him as the only guy? No.
No. And you can get developed. Yes, game reps are like the most important thing, but you can get mental reps in practice. There's training camp. And then you're there learning from a guy who gets 10 sacks every year. You know what I mean? That is development. Just getting thrown to the Wolves is not development. How did Deshaun Kaiser develop? How did the guy who caught the pass against the Steelers?
Corey Coleman?
Yeah, how didn't catch.
He didn't catch it.
He didn't catch it.
He dropped it. So that's one of those, like, the development thing, it's kind of overblown.
Yeah. Especially you look at like Aaron Rodgers, and obviously quarterbacks play way longer careers than most other positions, but he sat for a while and ended up being one of the greatest ever. You got to bring in the veterans for the culture and the fact that, we need to win. We want to win this year. So,
yeah.
And then,
go ahead.
You do have to run the risk, I feel like, of possibly when you got to trim down the roster next year, you didn't get to see all these guys in game. So you don't really know which one, you might end up cutting somebody that ends up being good for someone else, but that's just a risk you take. It's just part of the game. So
I think the fact that, yes, yeah, exactly. And Andrew Berry's only cut one player that he's drafted so far. And I feel like he's willing to play the long game with these rookies. And you got to remember, the Browns aren't a team filled with first and second round picks out of the last couple of years. We traded those away to get proven players. So we're dealing with a lot of third round and beyond rookies. There's a lot of fifth rounders on this team. These aren't guys you just throw in there with high expectations in year two and think, well, this guy will get us over the hump. No, he still needs to, like Blake said, learn from the veterans in front, and that just makes them cheaper on second contracts when they develop. So I don't know. I think Andrew Berry's playing a smart game here. I do.
I agree.
This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Guys, here's the truth. Dads want steak. When you give dad perfectly aged and oh so tender steaks, you're not just giving him the best meal of his life, but the chance to grill them up and share the moment with you. For a limited time, when you go to omahasteaks.com and enter the code DAWGS, DAWGS, into the search bar, you have to type it into the search bar, guys. You will be able to order the Dad's Favorite gift package for just $99.99. By entering that code or that keyword into the search bar, you also get 8 free Omaha steak burgers with your order. These burgers, I'm telling you, they taste just like steak on a bun. They're ultra lean, and they pack a bold, intense, beefy flavor. They're just awesome. Save over 60% on the Dad's Favorite grill pack, and you get 4 bacon wrap fillets, 4 premium air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, 4 boneless pork chops, 4 gourmet jumbo franks, 4 made from scratch caramel apple tartlets, and an Omaha Steaks seasoning. Plus, use the code DAWGS, DAWGS, type it in the search bar, you get 8 free Omaha Steak burgers included. Don't make gifting hard this year, guys. Dads want steak. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak, it's the best steak of your life. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com right now. Use code DAWGS in the search bar. Order the Dad's Favorite gift package for Father's Day today. That's omahasteaks.com. Type DAWGS in the search bar.
Well, thanks for the voicemail, Kenny Mack. Again, if you want to get your voicemails on the show, your intros on the show, thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. We like getting you guys' voicemails, especially in the off-season. Helps fill some time. We like hearing from you guys. So we heard Kenny Mack kind of talking about, some articles and stuff like that on social media saying the Browns aren't going to make the playoffs. I've seen some things that are as crazy. I think it was a guy on NFL Network who picked us to only win like 5 games or something like that. And which is crazy because then on Good Morning Football, they were just talking about us the other day about how like we're dark horse Super Bowl contenders. We're not even saying that about us, we're too afraid to say that. Like, so I think if anybody's picking us to only win like 5 games, it's just because they don't like Jimmy Haslam and they don't like Deshaun Watson. That's the only way to explain that. But before I even knew what Kenny Mack's voicemail was about, I said that we should talk about what is a good season for the Browns this year. What's the minimum they have to do for you at the end of the season, you to be like, okay, good season? Because we see some people who are like, oh, you paid Deshaun all this money, it's Super Bowl or bust. To me, that's kind of crazy thinking. Like,
right.
Like Josh always says, one team wins the Super Bowl. You guys will be mad if we make the Super Bowl? Like, So, to you guys, what's the minimum we got to do for you to be happy with the way this season went?
I think, first off, we have to make the playoffs. I think you have to make the playoffs. I think if we don't make the playoffs this year, we're probably looking for a new head coach. And I don't know if his seat's that hot, but I mean, at the end of last year, there was a lot of rumblings of that. But I just think we're too far. Huh?
I think those rumblings were external, but I would argue if we don't make the playoffs, his seat's at least very
lukewarm. Yes.
It depends on if we don't make it, how we didn't make it. Did we just absolutely bomb it? Or did some really explainable, weird, freaky things happen? It's like, of course. You know what I'm saying?
Our entire starting offense all break their legs in week 1.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I'm not jinxing it.
Yeah, but I say at least playoffs.
I am totally agree. And are you thinking win the division or wild card?
No, I think the AFC is brutal. I think if we get a wild card, we get to the end of the season and we have a wild card spot, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the AFC is brutal. Yep. There are going to be good teams that are going to be watching playoffs from home, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. To me, 10 games, I want to see 10 wins. I think 9 is, worse than what I want. And 10 is, okay, that's not a bad season. But really, I just want to see drastic improvement in the one-score games. And obviously, a playoff appearance.
So I want 10 wins and not a playoff. To me, we have to win at least a playoff game. Like if we get in as a wild card, we have to win the wild card game. If we get in, we're not going to get it. I would imagine we're not going to get the bye. But if by some miracle we got the bye, then you got to win that divisional game and make the AFC Championship game. So to me, 10 wins and a playoff game, I will be like, good season. That's a lot to look forward to. Anything less than that, I'm gonna be a little bit perturbed.
So for me, I'm not as hell-bent on we have to have a playoff win, although with this roster, it's not unrealistic to expect it. I can't fault anybody for saying that that's the level they want to be at. I'm kind of with you guys. As far as the total wins, like John said, 10 would be a good starting point of what I'd be happy with. But as long as we make the playoffs, I honestly don't really care about how we get there, how many wins. I want to see playoffs, and I do not want to get our asses kicked on the ground every single week. I want to see the defense show that it's a dominant defense under Jim Schwartz. That would give me even more than Deshaun Watson coming back and looking like old Deshaun Watson, because I expect him to be at least close to that this year at some point. I need to see the defense look like, okay, this is a defense that we can ride for the next couple years and feel pretty good about.
To me,
it's been such a just been such a, like, just with the defense, it's been such a weak spot for so many years. So we've put it all on Joe Woods. So, and I'm not saying that I think this will happen, but there has to be something. I think that we're going to see it'll be a 180 as far as what our defense looks like and what they can achieve. But if we go out there and we lose close games and blow opportunities and it's the same story again, Browns fans are going to lose their minds.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, how you feel, but for me, watching a Browns game, I get frustrated when we go 3 and out on offense. I can't freaking stand it when the other team is just picking up first downs left and right, easy peasy, moving the ball, manhandling us, just treating us like little children. I hate that. I hate it.
I say we got to win a playoff game for me to be happy, because I can't be happy we want a playoff game with Baker Mayfield. Right. So to have all this roster turnover, to go get Deshaun, to do all this stuff, to just make the playoffs, you'd still have to say we're behind where we were with Baker if we don't win a playoff game, So to me, you have to win at least one playoff game. Part of me almost said 2 because, Baker won 1. But I think if you can win 10 and win 1 in Deshaun's first full year back, then I don't know if I will be pumped about it, but I won't say the season's a complete failure. Like, I'll be like, okay, there's stuff to build on here. We look good. Stefanski, corrected some of his things. Defense was better. Like, there's things to build on. But we have to win at least one playoff game. You can't say Baker was the problem and then 2 years later make the playoffs and lose the first game and be happy,
or be worse.
Yeah,
or not get back there at all. Yeah.
So that's where I stand on that. So let's know what you guys think. What constitutes a good season for you guys for the Browns this year? Let us know in the comments. So to wrap this episode up, I think a fun thing to do, just some way too early. We don't even know, final rosters, injuries, that kind of stuff. Well, I think we'll just do the AFC today. Pick the winners of each division. So we can start with the AFC East. This is a tough one. Buffalo, New England, and the Jets. Who do you guys got winning that division?
Man, who's going first?
I'll go crazy. I love Buffalo, and I think New York's going to be a lot better. But if Tua can stay healthy, I like them to win the division. They looked like when he was in there, they couldn't be stopped. So as much as I don't think he'll stay healthy, I'll go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go Miami.
Man, I was about to say Miami too, Justin, and then does Tua stay healthy though?
Right. No.
Man, that is tough. I guess I'm leaning, probably Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think the Mac Attack, we're going Patriots. They're coming back this year.
Oh my
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Holy crap.
Man, if Aaron Rodgers is, he won the MVP, 2 years in a row there before last year. If he can play at that level with what they have on defense and just the supporting cast on offense in New York, I think the Jets could win that division.
100% could.
Yep, the Jets.
Yeah, I'll just pick the Jets to be a little different from you guys, but
The Jets hired Nathaniel Hackett to be their offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Did we watch Denver's offense last year?
Wasn't good.
Rough.
But it was successful. It was a successful partnership in Green Bay.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
That's what got him that job in Denver.
Right.
He's a quarterback's coach. Okay, we'll skip the AFC North. Let's go to the AFC South then. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indy, and Houston. I think this one, unless it was a one-year wonder, this one's kind of easy.
Yeah, this is easily Jacksonville.
Yes.
I think I joke with these guys. I think Houston's going to be better than what people are giving them credit for. I think everybody I see is like, 4 or 5 wins. I think they'll be better than that, but Jacksonville,
better 4 or 5 wins.
I think they can be over 4 or 5 wins. Yes.
They won 3 last year. I would say
Place the bet.
I would say if they get to 6 wins this year, they should consider it like they had a crazy good season.
But no, I agree. I think Jacksonville, you'd expect Trevor Lawrence to take another step.
Yeah.
I think Calvin Ridley, I think, is about to be crazy.
Yep.
He was good when he left.
So what are you saying, Jacksonville, John?
I'm going to say Jacksonville, and I'm also going to say Calvin Ridley is not on the trade block, Justin. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry. I'll send him some fantasy offers on the side. Not right now, but earlier.
Mid-show dealings.
Yes. And then the AFC West, you got the Chiefs, the Chargers, Vegas, and Denver.
Gotta go Chiefs, man.
Yeah.
Until you prove me wrong.
I think it's like another division that's tough, but like I think John said it best. Like until like something different, it's almost like how the Patriots were there with like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Until they prove that they can't do it, that's an easy bet.
Yep, Chiefs, and give them the bye. As far as I'm concerned, I mean that's just my prediction. And like you said, Justin, until somebody knocks them out of there,
I don't think it's crazy.
I think Vegas got worse.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Chargers head coach at all. I do like Sean Payton in Denver, but who knows, what's going to happen. It's the Chiefs easy, in my opinion. Not easy, but it's an easy pick for me to make.
I agree.
And lastly, that brings us to the AFC North. Obviously, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and us. This might be the toughest division to pick.
It is. I'm having a hard time here.
The homer in me wants to say Cleveland.
I want to say it too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: it's tough. It's tough because Cincinnati kind of lost a lot, but it's one of those deals where I watched Cincinnati play Cleveland, and I think, how does anybody lose to these guys? And then they play everybody else, and they won 12 games last year.
Yeah,
like. It's one of those things where I watch them and I'm just like, how is anybody losing to this team? And then they go out and beat the Chiefs 3 out of the last 4 times or something. So,
right.
And then Baltimore, what's Baltimore going to be? I mean, I don't think that Aaron Butler likes to brag about the receiver core. I think it's still garbage, but Lamar still can run around a lot and they still have good defense.
And running backs. Really good running backs.
Dobbins and Gus Edwards are going to be healthy. So,
yep.
In Pittsburgh, won 9 games last year. They're terrible. Won 9 games. So it's like, Josh? Who are you picking?
Man, this is such a tough division, but why not? Let's just go Browns. Seriously. I mean, the expectation should be high. You talk about it all the time, Blake. I mean, these are no longer the years of, man, if we can get to 5 wins this year, that'd be sweet. Like, no, you guys can go ahead and expect more. Doesn't mean you have to say, I believe we're definitely going to do this and, put all your hopes and dreams into it, but you can have strong expectations for this team.
John?
I'm going to go Browns. I think the only team I don't think it probably could be realistically is Pittsburgh. I just don't think they have a quarterback. I think it could be either of the other 3 teams, but I'm just going to say the Browns because it's the Browns podcast.
Nice done. That was well done. I want to say Browns. I really do. And I think that everybody in that division probably is going to be pretty decent. Hey, even Pittsburgh. I agree with you, Blake. Tomlin has yet to go under 500. I think they're going to be decent enough. I'm going to go ahead and say of the three, just give me, I honestly, I think Baltimore is going to be pretty tough. And I want to pick the Browns, but I'm reserved. I'll go against the grain here and I'll say Baltimore. Just based on, I think they're going to be tough. I think they're really tough.
So I think winner of this division, I think like first place and last place in this division could potentially be like a game or two.
A game, yeah.
So I'm going to take all people are going to freak out. I'm taking the Browns. And for the sole fact, if not now, when? Yeah. You know, like if now is not the time with, you know, the best quarterback we've ever had, the best second best running back we've ever had, best O-line we've ever had as a unit, you know, arguably the best defensive coordinator we've ever had. Like, if not now, when? You know, so that's why I'm picking the Browns. Do I think we're going to run away with the division? No. Like I said, I think it's going to be a brutal division this year. So that's my pick, and you know, hopefully we're right. So we'll see. But let us know what you guys think. Who's winning the divisions, the AFC. Next week we'll do the some quick NFC picks. Let you guys know what we think about that. The NFC is, you know, not nearly as brutal. So maybe the Browns can switch to the NFC. So we will wrap this thing up. If you guys are good, anything else? Did I forget anything?
No.
All right. So again, thank you guys for being here, joining us on an episode where all four of us can be here. We promise to hopefully be in the studio more, in a new studio. It's going to be really sweet when it's all done. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us through these virtual episodes, and just one or two or three of us. But we're getting closer to football season. We'll have a more set schedule, and we just appreciate you guys bearing with us. Let us know what you guys think about the Browns' upcoming season. You know, what's going to be a good season, who's going to win the divisions. Just drop us all your thoughts, thedawgspodcast.com. Again, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu to get your thoughts on the show. As always, again, thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.